You are listening to the Coffee and Confidence Podcast, your one-stop inspirational and motivational podcast. I am your host, Cynthia Lee, confidence and life coach at Capricious Lee. I enjoy helping and encouraging those around me to become more confident and self-aware and push them into stepping into their purpose. So, grab your favorite cup of coffee and let's get started. Hey there, friends. This is Cynthia Lee, confidence coach and life coach at Capricious Lee. And I am the host of the Coffee and Confidence podcast. And this is episode 2, The Dangers of Comparing Yourself to Others. I am excited that we are here together and that I am your voice of encouragement for today. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that there are several courses, webinars, ebooks, and digital resources that are available to you at www.capriciously.com. And while you're there on the site, make sure you check out our freebies because every month I will add something new in our freebie section just for you. Access to this valuable information will assist you in becoming more authentic, confident, and mentally resilient. Let's get in the habit of trading those fears and self-doubts with victories. I do want to mention also that right now there are some behind the scenes changes that are being made at the www.capriciously.com, and it's to help make it more user friendly. And starting in January 2021, we're going to be going back to hosted one-on-one coaching sessions and also group coaching sessions. I only work with a limited amount of individuals at a time, so do make sure that once that calendar starts opening back up, that you do go ahead and book your spot as soon as possible. Okay, so now grab your favorite cup of coffee in your favorite mug, and let's get started with today's podcast, The Dangers of Comparing Yourself to Others. Comparing yourself to others is a reliable way to reduce your confidence, motivation, and your self-esteem. It must be natural to make these types of comparisons because if you think about it, nearly everyone does it. However, that doesn't mean that it's a good move. If you want to be the best possible you, make sure that you avoid comparing yourself to others. There are several challenges that will occur when you compare yourself to others. And what I want to do is I want to talk about 5 dangers of comparing yourself to other people. The first one, everyone has a different starting point. For example, you might want to learn how to play golf and you're just learning, but your friend's been playing for 10 years. So you can't compare yourself to them at that current moment because they've been playing for 10 years already. Also, you might be interested in playing basketball, but you're only 5 feet tall and your friend is 6'5". So everyone's starting point is different. You can't compare yourself to that because you're comparing the impossible. You can't compare progress, results, or success unless the starting point is exactly the same, which at most points there never are. There's always one factor that changes something. The second thing is everyone has a different level of talent. Some people are just born with a naturally higher IQ, and some people have amazing hand and eye coordination. That is not me. And others have like a natural knack for singing, like Mariah Carey. Again, everyone's starting point is different and their level of talent is different. The third thing is the resources available to you and another person are different. So let's say, for example, you want to go to this college and you're unable to get a scholarship and you don't have the funds to pay for it. So now you have to come up with different options in order to go to college, whether it be student loans, working 3 jobs. So whereas someone else, they can afford to go to college. Their parents are wealthy. They could just pay for the college. Or, another person may get a scholarship. So everyone is, in my theory, my thinking, is everyone's hand in a box. In that box, it does not contain everything that you need to be successful. It's an empty box. And throughout life, you will fill up that box with the things that you need and the resources you need in order to be successful. And throughout your journey in life, what will happen is you'll come up with more resources, different resources to add into your box. And the great thing is you can always look back in the box and see what you have done or what you've done before in the past and see how to make it better to find a different resource. The fourth thing is we tend to compare ourselves to the best in the world. You can't compare yourself to the best because they're the best and they worked long and hard. Like the first example I gave you about golf. If your friend's been playing for 10 years, they may be the best at what they do, or they may be just Tiger Woods. Some people are just, they're the best. And when you see them at their high point, it's easy to try to compare yourself to them when you idolize them. They are everything that you want it to be. But don't do that, because the only thing it's going to do is going to make you miserable, depressed, and second guess yourself and your choices and your actions. The fifth one is there's always somebody better than you. There are only a handful of people that can honestly make a reasonable claim to being the best at anything. If you think about it, there's nearly 8 billion people in the world, and that number is a growing number. And so that's a lot of people that you would have to surpass in order to be the best. It's easy to see why making comparisons can be so dangerous. I mean, there's little to gain and too much at risk. Comparing yourself to others doesn't provide useful information. You're only going to upset yourself, and the type of comparison isn't even fair in the first place. So, what's the solution? Here are some things that you can do instead. I want to go over 3 things that you can do. The first one is compare yourself to yourself. A better option is to do that. Pay attention to your progress over time. Notice your improvements. As long as you're making some type of headway, you have every reason to be excited and strive to be better each day. Come up with SMART goals. Make sure that your SMART goals are obtainable, and then you give it a time limit. Don't write them down and then set them aside. Make sure you can see them to remind yourself of your goal and what your reward will be once you meet that goal. I think it's always important to reward yourself after you reach a milestone and after you complete your goal. The reason is it will give you encouragement to complete the next one. And you don't just do goal after goal after goal after goal after goal, because then you'll get burnt out. When you compare yourself to yourself, you want to be better each and every day, and you can see it. What I like to do is I like to write down my SMART goals and also my milestones, complete those SMART goals. And I keep a journal. I write a journal down, and I don't keep paper journals anymore because I have small kids and they find anything with paper as a coloring book. So I always have digital products. The one thing they do know is to stay away from mommy's iPad. So I have digital notebooks, digital planners, and if you're interested in any digital resources such as that, then do make sure you check out www.capriciously.com. If you look at the digital products, you'll be able to see the digital notebooks, digital planners. I have all that available at a reasonable price. So do make sure you check that out. And I look back at it. I'm able to flip back through to see all of my progress that I have made. And I always try to be better than I was the day before, better than I was the month before, better than I was the year before. The second thing is you want to limit your exposure to social media. In theory, social media exists to connect people, but in actuality, social media is often used to show off. You rarely get the real story. What you get is someone's best attempt to make their life look better than what it really is. everyone except you seems to be living this spectacular life, which is not true. So be cautious with social media. And generally, most people, they tend to be happy once they remove social media from their lives, or they realize that a lot of the stuff on social media is a facade, it's fake. Don't believe it. I mean, if you think about it, honestly, social media provides the opportunity for someone to be someone who they aren't. It provides a space for their alter ego to live, but it's not them. That in itself can be depressing because you're not trying to be this person in real life. You just want to portray that you're that person. So just be mindful of the things you see on social media. You know, there's Photoshop out there. Anybody can buy a camera, write a script, and pretend. So just keep that in mind. The third thing is you want to use the success of others as inspiration. The success of others can be useful. You can study how they became successful. Their success can inspire you to be the best you that you can be. Just avoid comparing your success to theirs. Earlier, I mentioned that everyone has a journey. And when you see someone at their best, you have to keep in mind that the journey that they went through, the progress that they went through, the setbacks that they went through. When you read some of those stories of the individuals that you idolize, it needs to inspire you to do better. So I have a question for you. Do you compare yourselves to others? So keep in mind that making this type of comparison can be detrimental to your confidence and your self-esteem. So instead of comparing your current version of yourself, compare the version of yourself from 3 months ago. Now that's a fair comparison to make. It becomes easy to see your progress or your lack of progress, and you can make adjustments to move forward. So set a few goals and set some time each day and work on those goals. And you'll be happy when you're able to see the progress that you've made. So those are my thoughts and 2 cents on comparing ourselves to others. What I wanted to do also is I wanted to end each of the podcasts with an affirmation reflection and to provide you with some reflection questions for you to think about. Affirmations are good. Affirmations allow you the opportunity to repeat a phrase, a sentence, repeat something every day to inspire you, to help you, to remind you that you are either beautiful, you're intelligent, you're worthy, that you are some positive attribute. What I do is I like to write down my affirmation and almost like write like a little spill, because once I start writing one sentence, I start thinking about everything. So I wanted to share that with you. My affirmation for today is I embrace my identity. I accept that the person that I am is the person I am meant to be. My circumstances, physical appearance, and personality are all part of the divine plan of my Creator. I love the person I am. When I am faced with negative circumstances, I avoid feeling discouraged. Instead, I use the positive attributes that I am blessed with in the situation, and I come out victorious. I also realize that there may sometimes be others around me who dislike me for whatever reason. Even so, I am satisfied with knowing that I am the best me I can be. My body and facial features may be different than what society deems flawless, but I am exactly how I should be, so I embrace my physical appearance as well. I live according to my own decisions, based on my own circumstances, rather than what other people expect of me. I realize that this is impossible to live up to everyone else's expectations and be at peace at the same time. Today, I commit to loving myself just the way I am. Even when others want me to fit in a certain mold, I remain unmoved. I feel certain that I am the way that I should be. So I have a question for you. 3 questions. And I want you to think about it. The first one is, do you sometimes prefer what others see in yourself versus what you see? The second one is, what strategies do you use to always be true to yourself? The next question is, do you accept your children the way that they are? And if you don't have any children, do you accept your parents the way that they are? So that is it for this podcast. I do look forward to our next episode. Our next episode, we will be talking about building your self-confidence and having an effective plan. So do make sure that you do sign on to the next episode. And then if you have any questions, comments, or if there's any topics that you want me to cover, you can do so. Just send me an email at cynthia@capriciously.com. Thanks. Thank you for hanging out with me. And if you like what you are hearing and want to continue to hear more inspirational and motivational coaching tips to help boost your confidence and self-esteem, then be sure to subscribe. Also, on capriciously.com, we have a number of courses and webinars that you'll be able to take so that way you can master the art of being truly authentic and have the self-confidence that you desire.